Hey everybody, my name is Jacob. This is Forgotten Voices. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about what is black magic, what is white magic, what is Wicca, who is Allister Crowley, and how he influenced music and pop culture throughout the world. So, first of all, let's go into black magic a little bit, just to touch up. We're not going to go deep into it, but we're just gonna kind of talk a little bit about magic and stuff. So, I believe magic is literally of the devil. I think it's just literally Satanism and shamanism, and it's all spirituality and devil worship. And there's different branches. There's like voodoo, and there's Wicca, there's white magic, black magic. And so I started, kind of researching what is Wicca and what is white magic and how that differs from black magic. So I first started off with this gentleman here, Gerald Gardner. He is considered the father of white magic or Wicca. And he has a couple of very interesting connections. Some of those would be Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons. So Jack Parsons, he is a founder of the JPM laboratories. They do rocketry and science, and he's one of those guys. He's involved heavily into the occult and things like that. So that led me on to Aleister Crowley, which I think is a little bit more interesting than Gerald Gardner. But Aleister Crowley is very famous. He has written multiple books. He is quoted. He himself said he was the beast or the Antichrist, of Revelations. So that's just his his own words. One of the quotes from him: "The devil is historically the god of any people that one personally dislikes. The serpent Satan is not the enemy of man, but he who made gods of our race. Knowing God and evil, he bade know thyself and taught initiation. He is the devil, and his emblem is that he is therefore life and love." So this is just the very first quote I found about him. And in this quote itself, you can see just how satanic it actually is. Because if you remember back to Genesis, the very first lie that the devil told Eve, he said, God's lying to you and you won't die and you're going to gain in knowledge. And here we see Satan is not the enemy of man, pretty much telling you God's a liar. And but he who made gods of our race. So he's saying the devil made human beings gods. And that's pretty much what the serpent told Eve in the Garden of Eden. So this is just the same lie from the devil. It's the same thing, just prepackaged to make sense, like in a modern sense of the word. But this is Aleister Crowley. He lived in the 1900s. He actually was a spy for Britain in World War II, I believe, for a little bit. So Aleister Crowley had a really interesting life story. He came from money. He had a lot of money. His parents were well off. He was deeply involved in the occult. And throughout his younger life, he dedicated himself to the occult. He tried to get into various societies. He did eventually get into one, and then he got kicked out because he wanted to take over it. Eventually, he formed his own occult, and things progressed from there. Eventually, he did die. Towards the end of his life, he kind of got away from the occult a little bit, but before that, let's talk a little bit about what exactly the main things in his life. So for a longest time he was trying to, do all these spells, do all these incantations and sacrificial stuff and all these things. And for the beginning of his life, he was sad. He was upset that he felt it didn't work. He felt he didn't have a connection to anything. He was, trying to obviously talk to the devil and to different things. So that kind of ended when he met this girl. He married her. He took her to Egypt. And in Egypt, they did a little spell or, whatever they did. And the girl claims that she had a vision from a god. And Allister Crowley, super upset about this. He's like, I've been trying for years and you're the one that gets it. Either way, he goes to a museum in Egypt and he says, point out which god it was. Without her knowing anything about Egyptology or whatever, she goes up to Horus, this guy, and she points out, this is the one, this is a person, this is a thing that I saw that spoke to me. And pretty much he was convinced that was the truth, that she wasn't lying. So pretty much what this thing told his girlfriend, wife, whatever they were, give him some instructions, go do this, go do that. Eventually, Aleister Crowley goes on to say that he did hear from a being that, and he called this being, said its name was Aiwass or something like that, Aiwass, and this being told him, well, he wrote a book about what this being told him. And the book was called The Book of the Law. And pretty much the main takeaway from this book is, do what thou will. And now, Aleister Crowley was all about this. So, this pretty much just states, do whatever you want. There is no morality, there is no sin, there is nothing bad. Just do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Aleister Crowley did for the most of his life. Just literally did whatever he wanted. He does go on to have a house in Sicily. And in this house in Sicily, a lot of, horrible things happened. There was reportedly they had parties where all of them got together and did some, drugs and other physical stuff. Supposedly including animal sacrifice, and supposedly one of the young girls there got sick from ingesting cat blood. But that's kind of what Aleister Crowley did. He goes on to have huge influence on people like John Lennon, who actually puts him into the cover album. This is Led Zeppelin's album, Do What Thou Will, is described on the album. So these are mainstream musicians that were influenced by his work. I think there's actually, I can't remember which band it is, but there's a band that actually mentions his actual name in there. Yeah, pretty creepy. Along with some of the influences that Aleister Crowley had. L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, was also influenced by him. Of course, you know what Ron Hubbard went on to go found, the Scientology Church, and the implications that we kind of more recently, it's been a couple of years now, a little bit more insight into what actually is going on there. But these are the kind of things that Aleister Crowley was involved in. This is what he, what the horrible things that he kind of did. Jack, a little bit about Jack Parsons. I was researching into that. He wrote a number of books, including 8 lectures on yoga. So if you saw one of my previous videos, I get to talk a little bit about yoga, and I was actually kind of surprised that Allister Crowley wrote a book on yoga. This is not something that is well known. This is not something that people in the yoga circle talk about, but there you go. He was actually, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first people in the West that was adamant or a fan of yoga. But there you go. Yoga, Aleister Crowley, not a good look for you. So kind of tying this all back to Wicca and black magic, I think with Gerald Gardner. He was a fan of Aleister Crowley, and he did go found the Wicca movement. So this Wicca movement is pretty much, well, black magic is touted as magic that is beneficial for the people involved, for their own selfish reasons. And white magic, or Wicca, is said to be for everybody's benefit. This guy actually said that he had put a cone of protection over Great Britain, and he had, telepathically or something told Berlin, hey, this is our island, this is our protected island, you will not cross the sea. Of course, it's pretty much crazy, but that's what he believed, and that's pretty much what Wicca is, well, I think it's literally just the same thing as black magic, except it's touted as something beneficial towards others and is a lot more mainstream. So black magic, in all my research, and not just today, but throughout the years, what I've seen and heard is a lot about white magic, about Wicca. I've heard very little about black magic. There's voodoo and stuff, but there's nobody connected to voodoo. But with Wicca, you have a face for it. You have something that's out in the open. So I think that's the main difference. White magic is out there. White magic is, hey, we're good. We're helping you out. We're helping everybody out. I think that's actually white magic. That's Wicca for you. I think it's like 2 branches in a tree. It's all from the same tree. It's all evil. It's all bad. It's all demonic and satanic. So I know the occult and stuff has a little bit of a draw to us as people, as spiritual beings. We're drawn to the supernatural. And this is where you have to be really careful with it. If you find yourself getting too much into the occult, just recognize that it is dangerous, and it's just dangerous, and you don't want to get too much into it. If you feel yourself going into it too much, you should back away. And if you yourself were involved in Wicca, you need to renounce that. Find God while he can be found, because God's there now, but he's not always going to be there. I found this quote by Christopher Lee. He is a huge actor. He actually played, I think he played Count Dooku in Star Wars. But yeah, he definitely did. This is one of his quotes. And he said to have a huge library of the occult, and I thought it was great to finish off this video. This is what he said. I have met people who claim to be Satanist, who claim to be involved with black magic, who claim that they not only knew a lot about it, but as I said, I certainly have been involved, and I warn all of you, never, never, you will not only lose your mind, you lose your soul. And I think that's a great way to end the video. Just be careful about what you're getting into. If it's too much, just stop. And that's pretty much it. If you like my content, go ahead and like, subscribe, let me know. Would you agree? You think I'm just crazy? And see you next time. Bye.